I'm Amira. This is Same But Different, and today I am joined by author Mary. So, hi Mary. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Amira, for having me.
It's really a pleasure, and anybody who knows me knows that I am not keen on reading. I'm not a fan of books, to be honest. But
me neither,
this book,
actually, I'm not a bookworm at all.
But I could not put this down, and this really I read faster than I've ever read anything in my whole life. So Cruelly Betrayed is a book based on true events written by Mary. Excellent job. This is amazing. Anybody who has not read this yet, you need to get this book immediately. The link will be down below.
And it's written in the middle of chemo and radiotherapy, so it's not just written, it's written within 8 weeks.
That's incredible.
So
definitely. So tell us a little bit about yourself and talk about yourself, and then also get into how this book came to be.
So I started typing after waking up from surgery when they told me the cancer had spread. I got really overwhelmed with fear. So I wanted to leave something behind for my children as a tangible document. And I started typing on my hospital bed on my laptop, and I couldn't stop typing, and it just went on, and things from the past came out. And I think when you're faced with your mortality, when you're eye to eye with death, you just I don't know, I regurgitated things from the past that were not processed. So and now I'm free. I don't know how this book has written itself, but I'm free now.
That's
and
amazing.
This is what counts now.
Yeah.
And I think the book will be very empowering for many people that will find themselves or are right now in a difficult situation.
Yeah. So for those people who don't really know a lot about you, could you tell us a little bit, well, kind of about you, but it's also the person in the book. So
7 years ago, I put my father in prison for sexual abuse. So I was abused for 16 years of my life, since the age of 9. And so my aim with the book is to raise awareness about childhood sexual abuse, because it happens much more than we think.
Right.
They talk about 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys are abused. They even say 2 to 3 children per class.
Oh, wow.
So it's such a taboo topic that it happens all around us, but nobody knows and nobody notices any cry for help, because it's such the concept is so successful because it happens within the circle of trust of the child.
Yeah.
So the child 90% of the time knows the abuser. It's usually a parent, a sibling, a cousin, an aunt, and an uncle. And childhood sexual abuse knows no race, gender, social class, background, religion. It happens everywhere, rich, poor, educated or not. It's very hard to recognize, because you don't suspect people that are close to the child. You don't suspect that they would harm your child. Like the child doesn't tell or doesn't say anything, because it's rarely done with violence. It's usually done with care and love and presence and favoritism, and it's really hard for the child to recognize abuse as harm.
A person who has not been in that horrible situation has no idea what it's like. And for some people who think, oh, but this took place for so many years, why didn't you do something? Why didn't you say something? But it's not as simple as that at all, especially as you say, it comes from, the family unit, which is the source of trust and safety.
And no child will want to break the family, and no child will want to. And the thing is, the child doesn't even realize right from wrong, because the child is so isolated by the abuser, away from the mass. They only know the abuser's truth. And it makes me angry when people say, oh, why did the victim wait 15 years before saying something? Why did they not say something earlier when the abuse was obvious? So in here, I try to explain that exact question which people have, which is not only how could it happen in the first place, but how could it continue for so many years? In my case, for 16 years of my life, it continued. And It's very easily understood when you explain what conditioning is and what it's a form, it's brainwashing.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a conditioning of a child, and the fear you instill in this child when they're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is the same that they feel when they're 26, for example, in my case. So you still think that the abuser has the ultimate power over you. If you start the grooming, they call it, the grooming is the whole thing around it when you start brainwashing the child in making them think that things are normal when they're not.
Yeah. Is there also maybe a fear of like not being believed?
Of course. I mean, it's your word against adults. So it's the adult will always be the stronger.
Yeah.
And it's not only the adult, it's someone who you're supposed to love and protect you.
Yeah,
so it's very conflicting for the child to understand. The solution would be to educate and to raise awareness and to teach or to show parents what the message should be that we give our children, because I think we're giving them the wrong message by saying don't talk to strangers, don't take anything from strangers. This is only part of the message, but what we are missing here is a very big part in setting healthy body boundaries and giving the child the tools to recognize abuse and to recognize that this is wrong and this is right, and we're not allowed to touch there and we're allowed to touch there, and we're not giving them the right tools and to give consent. And it's all about consent in the end.
Of course.
So there's not one definite sign where you would say, oh, this child is being abused. You can't say that. You need many red flags where you would say, oh, there's something going on there with this child. So many things should be alarming you, where you would say, okay, we need to check further. There are many cries for help that need to be taken seriously, but we kind of brush them off as normal child behavior sometimes. So we need to look at the big picture and put the puzzle pieces together and not just brush off things as this father is just over caring, or he's just a good father, or he just loves his daughter so much, and open favoritism is a big one. Often the victim is isolated from the masses. So in this case, the child is taken apart and it receives presents and love and care and compliments and praise all the time, so that the others are so jealous. That was my case.
It's so conflicting though, and like psychological abuse where you're like on the one hand being treated so unfairly, yet on the other hand being almost like spoiled in a way to make you. Did you feel guilty, like for thinking?
You're guilty because your siblings are being treated totally unfairly, because you get every present, you get to travel around the world on your own, and so you're guilty because you're receiving care, and then you can't be angry at this person because he's supposed to love you, but at the same time he does you wrong. You just don't know what's right or wrong in the end. So when the person who's supposed to give you your foundations in your childhood is totally distorted and deranged, and he gives you very strange, or he normalizes sexual things, you just don't know what's right or wrong anymore, because and this is very normal.
And no child can be blamed for that.
Of course not.
That is a very important thing to you can't say, oh, but you let it happen and you let it go on for that long. That's out of the question.
No, of course not.
It's a child, an innocent child who trusts their parent, who trusts this person, and then something completely terrible happens. So
you can't never blame the child. There's no way.
So what can we do?
Well, first of all, we need to stop making it a taboo topic taboo subject that happens away from, like in other places or in other families. In our families, happy, perfect. Open your eyes more to what's going on around you. And what I'm trying to do with my book is to raise awareness. And what I mean by that is that anyone who's in contact with children, that whether it's a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, a teacher, a priest, parents, first of all, parents, what message do we have to give them, and how to recognize
Yeah.
abuse. I put a few examples in my book, but it's not exhaustive. So we have to work together. And I can't do it on my own. I'm just one person. I'm trying to do good, but it's not.
No,
we have to work
definitely.
together if we want an impact. And it's very hard because it's making noise. It's a taboo, and people don't like to be shaken in their perfect image, perfect happy family image. So once you start making some noise, like I'm doing now, and this is what happens. Cancer gave me the push, gave me the fearless. I'm just fearless. I just feel the need to just talk. I just have something to say, and I just want to talk. And I don't. It's as if I don't care how it's perceived. I just need to get it out.
Sure.
And if I can help one person and one child and one parent, then my everything was worthwhile. It's not for nothing. It wasn't in vain. All this struggle. If I can help people realize abuse doesn't happen too far away from you, then I'm happy. If I can help someone break the silence, then I'll be very happy. If I can help someone press charges against the abusers.
And what would you like to say to people who might see this, who are going through the same type of trauma that you went through? It's such a delicate subject that you can't tell them, well, speak up,
No, you can't. You can't. And people, this is what I mean when I say I get angry when people say, why didn't you say something earlier? Why? It's not that easy. And even after 15 years, it's not that easy. So in my case, if you read the book, you can see that it wasn't me who said one day, okay, now I'm going to go to the police and I'm going to press charges. It wasn't the case. It was a random encounter at the police station for something else, which somehow made me see the injustice. I got to my limit of realizing how unfair the situation was. So this just made me regurgitate verbally in front of two of my sisters. You would read in the book. So I can't sit here and tell people, go and press charges. It's not as easy as that. So all I can do is tell you what will happen after. You will be free. Even if the abuser doesn't get a long prison sentence or he doesn't get, you will have been freed by just saying it out loud and not keeping it for yourself. Giving your abuser the ultimate power by keeping this secret to yourself is just a prison that you're self-inducing. You can't. Just get out of this prison and write things down. If you don't want to go press charges, at least write things down. Tell someone even.
Yeah, don't keep it bottled up inside.
Don't keep it bottled up. Just it's just gonna ruin your relationships. It's gonna ruin your self-confidence. It's just gonna have an impact on everything in your life if you all this negative emotions, and by doing this you're just giving your abuser the ultimate power over you.
But you showed so much bravery and strength in that step. I'm not going to give details away because I want everybody to definitely read this book. And in the book, you will see that that is not the only struggle you went through, not the only bump that life unfortunately threw at you. But the latest one is that you were diagnosed with cancer.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that, please?
One day I received like these 3 words that nobody wants to ever receive. So it's she told me she had a rare and aggressive and invasive inoperable, it can't be, no surgery, nothing. So it was a bit of a shock. I just turned 37 at that point. I didn't know what to do. I just cried for a week. You need to welcome these feelings of fear and sadness, and totally justified. And
of course, it's
when you get
like
an emotional shock like this, you have to accept them and welcome them and embrace them because they have their right place. But you should never stay in that state,
right?
Because it will just prevent you from moving forward. So after each emotional shock, I usually have a week of being a victim. That's what I call it, victimhood. And then after being in that state for a week, I just keep going. You must move forward. You can't remain in that state. And this is why I always say you should reject pity and people that cry in your face or or say, oh, it doesn't help me. There's no added value for me.
True.
I took my car and I drove hundreds of kilometers to Germany to find a different surgeon, someone who's willing to go against the kind of the protocol, the guidelines. So I had a really long surgery, which lasted 8 hours.
Oh wow!
So they took many organs from me, and nearly 50 lymph nodes, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Chemo, radio, and then I had another wave, which now I'm in, but everything's fine, everything's good, and I'm very happy.
Alhamdulillah, I'm so happy to hear that. That was not the case in the beginning.
No, of course
You got
not.
some
No.
very bad and shocking news.
Yes, so I had my chemo, my radio, and then I went to I wanted a quick follow-up after the treatment. I wanted a scan, and but normally they don't. They only do a 3 months gynecological follow-up.
Yeah.
So I somehow insisted on an ultrasound, and they said, okay, we'll do one. And he went and then checked all my organs, and he said everything's fine. And then he stopped there, and then he's like, oh no, there's something there. And then I went, and he sent me to an urgent scan. And then the radiologist found some random nodules on my lungs. So I went urgently again to Germany. I was given a very kind of not encouraging speech. So I went back to Luxembourg, and I had chemo, and now everything's gone. But I'm doing many things on the side as well. So it's not just purely chemo. I hope it's just a combination of especially the positive mindset. I think it's just a big part.
Definitely. I fully agree with you that positive mindset, it really does play a role in this. But also, like I've told you already, what I find fascinating about your story is the fact that you got this terrible news, but you didn't just swallow it. Like you didn't give up and say okay, I have my sentence,
No, you can't have your sentence.
Which, to be fair, I don't blame anybody. Like, I don't know what I would do. And before getting to know you, I probably would have thought along those same lines as like, oh my God, this is what's happening to me. There's no hope. But I find it's amazing what you did. Because you basically started doing your own research. You have to.
I've been quite complicated during the past months, so I spent lots of money in analyzing my tumor. So these are things that are not offered by the doctor, obviously, because it costs money to get to know my, let's call him enemy, better, the weak spots of my enemy, so I can better fight it.
Yeah.
Which gives me a sense of control rather than just this invisible monster that's out there to hurt me. I sometimes forget that I'm still allowed to have backache. I'm still allowed to have headaches. Yeah. I'm still allowed to have random cramps.
Allergies.
Stuff like that. It doesn't have to be straight away cancer related. But obviously after something like this,
it's normal. It's
very
such
brutal.
A shock.
It's such a brutal thing.
Yeah.
So it's the doctor she had tears in her eyes when she was telling me the diagnosis. So it's I think I will never forget that day.
It must be so shocking and so traumatizing, because it is, like you say, it's words that you don't expect to hear, and then when you hear them and all you know about cancer. Right. But before you said that you were like a difficult patient.
I'm a difficult.
But I don't like that. And I remember we talked about this before. I think that is so unfair, because it's your life.
Yeah.
And you get one shot.
Yeah, but sometimes when the doctor tells you that there's no hope or there's no, in my case, I'm definitely never gonna go in that, like, I can't do this anymore. Let's just. I understand how people can trust their doctors, but at least if you don't have a scientific background, just go and ask for second and third opinions and go and see what's out there. At least do your kind of basic research. There are many things
Definitely.
that you can do
Definitely.
even without a scientific background. You don't have to have a PhD to know
Mhm.
that you can genetically sequence your tumor if you had surgery. This is something very basic
Mhm.
that you can do, but it gives you so many answers and opens many therapeutic venues that you
Mhm.
might not have thought of, and even your doctor might not have.
But that's what one of the many things I truly admire about you is that you got this nightmare of, I would call it a sentence because it's that's basically how the doctor put it, and you didn't take his word, and that's amazing. It's like, don't, because that is such a terrifying experience. I can't even tell you what I would do, but to still have, you know, the strength to be like, no, I don't accept this. You know, I have my kids and I will not give up. I will not take, and I will keep trying and fighting. That's really, it's to
No,
be
I
applauded.
can't. No, thank you. I was looking at my notes and it said the patient is complicated.
Oh, in your record.
In my records, in my protocol.
And that's exactly, that goes back to what I said. That is not fair. I think anybody in a situation where it's their life on the line, I think you can be as difficult, as complicated as you
I
want
will
to
be. I mean, for sure, I am going to be the most difficult patient. Everyone should be difficult and complicated,
I love
and
that,
everyone
yeah.
should be their own health advocate.
Yeah.
You shouldn't let other people. I mean, of course, the relationship with the doctor shouldn't be a one-way relationship. It should be two-way, and you should be involved in your own care. You shouldn't let your fate be decided by just this
Definitely.
one person in white.
Yeah, I fully agree. But what I find amazing with you is like, and I speak up about this so much, about not judging people. Never judge a book by its cover.
No.
Don't judge people. Don't be mean. Don't be unkind. Because we look at you with this beautiful smile and just so positive and so happy. Nobody could imagine, and that's amazing, but all the things that you've been through, and it's so amazing because it shows that you can be hit with all kinds of absolute shit and
still find the shit.
Yeah, and still have the courage and the strength and the motivation to keep going and never give up, and that's
to
really
help others.
amazing.
I mean, I don't have any other, there's no lucrative aim in that book, you know.
So Mary, where can people get your book from?
So you can get it on my website.
Put the link up there.
The general book trade globally. And you can get it on Amazon.
Yes, you can. And you don't only get it in English.
No, you can get it in French and German as well. And I'll translate it into all the other languages if I have to. So
that's wonderful.
I'll get my message out there however I can.
So the last question that I ask everybody, Mary, what is the dream?
No, I would say to eradicate childhood abuse, full stop, whether it's sexual abuse or violence, or just love these children. I mean, stop hurting them. This is, that's it. Be nice to each other. Even like adults, be nice to each other. Stop being so hateful and grumpy. Just smile at strangers outside. It doesn't cost anything. And
I love that. It's true. It's so simple and it's so true. But people make it so hard. But it's true. Just be kind. Mary, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for being here. It's really been an honor getting to know you and reading your book. And everybody, go get the book. And also follow Mary on Instagram. Yeah, please help spread awareness. Thank you guys for watching. Please hit that subscribe button down below. Please subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for more same but different. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.